This is when things start getting more complicated.
Start hiring people smarter than you as soon as you can afford them.
It could be like sell your company, right? It could be the best advice.
This is where scale and processes become really important.
Don't be shy about how you're focusing on how you're growing and building that team. And
that's the fastest way to decode how to go from 10K in MRR to 10 million of ARR.
Hi, my name is Jorn Hoffman and I'm the host of the Grow Your B2B SaaS podcast. In season 2 of the podcast, I interviewed 20 industry experts on how to grow your B2B SaaS, no matter in which stage you're in. In the episodes, I asked the guests all the exact same question: what kind of advice would they have for B2B SaaS founders growing to 10 million in ARR? We created a summary episode for this one, which is going to be available on all podcast platforms. And this is basically a summary video of the summary. So check out this video, and if you like it, then make sure to actually listen to the full episode on all major podcast platforms. Have fun.
What I've seen with companies that are at that size is that they're still doing a lot of what they're doing, but they're allocating more money to testing and experimenting. And that could be then with different channels to find different avenues of growth.
You basically want to build this massive pipeline of trust, and then you can actually start controlling your flow. Things go wrong, and they will go wrong always. We got to find ways to do some outbound into markets we don't know yet, because you need to be sharp on that level, because if shit hits the fan, you can scale that up.
Until you hit around 3 million. Embrace that you can be a bit chaotic, that you don't need a process for everything, and that's the time where you can really experiment. When you surpass those 3 million, you created a real business. And now you actually figured out, based on all of those experiments and all of those swings you took at the ball, you figured out what works. Now you need to double down on that.
The biggest challenges are focusing on metrics like churn. If your churn is extremely high, it doesn't mean it's impossible, but it's much harder to grow. You have to learn how to manage people and build a team. You can get to $1 million a year revenue with no team or a very small team. And I see it all the time. People who have a team of 2 plus themselves, you can get to $1 million. But I don't know if it's impossible, but it's close to impossible to get to 10 million without building a team and learning to manage.
SEO is kind of like a marathon. So if you start late, it's basically like everybody's already been running for 2 hours and then you have to catch up to them. So if you're going to choose it, probably go hard on it. And at that point, you can invest a little bit more.
But I think the most important thing is just being super both curious and ambitious about understanding how do we generate revenue and what can we do more of to generate more revenue.
Right. Their mission shouldn't just be that you have a successful community for whatever its purpose is. It should also be, how do we communicate that value back into the partner channel, back into marketing, back into customer success, back into support or sales or product or wherever it needs to go. Make sure that that data can flow back to those other key stakeholders in your business and really invest in that.
This is when things start getting more complicated. The first thing I recommend is personalizing the user onboarding by personas. Another thing is you start focusing more on revenue. So at this point, you'll be able to check literally what features of your product are leading to further engagement and which actions within the user onboarding experience are leading to churn.
If you've already proven that you can have some salespeople repeatedly go and sell the thing that you have, what you need to start thinking about is the process to make sure that you're at scale doing what we just talked about.
And you need 2, maybe 3 closers. You've got a proven track record. You've got a playbook that you're iterating and developing, but you know your product add value. And that's when you know that you're starting to build a repeatable sales process, predictable pipeline.
For me personally, the thing I'm working for is getting my time back, because now I'm everything. So just hiring people that is better than me in all the positions, so I can just leave the things to them.
Start hiring people smarter than you as soon as you can afford them. That was probably my biggest mistake at business apps. You need to work on the business, not in the business. And that's a critical shift. And so to do that, you need to pull yourself out of departments and be a selector of leaders to take over customer support, to take over marketing, to take over sales, to take over product management, because that way you're building a business rather than just a really highly demanding 100-hour-a-week job.
Or really professionalize that weighted pipeline, create predictability within your company. So start with the core, hire where it hurts, play it smartly, setting up those scalable processes more so than scaling a huge team right now, because you're going to experience those pains definitely if you have all of a sudden 100 people working for you and you don't know what to do with them.
Start with audience. Don't think about software. Build an audience first. It's going to make the software launch way cheaper, way faster, way easier. Download your customer base. It's paying 10 grand. Just only focus on the customer paying you the most money and go think about how do you change all of your top of funnel strategy to just go get more of that highest paying customer. That's the fastest way to decode how to go from 10K in MRR to 10 million of ARR.
Trust is the governing factor on how quickly they close deals with you. So your average deal velocity, the relationship between average deal velocity and trust scores is off the charts. So if you have low trust, they're going to...
This is where scale and processes become really important. So first, kind of really know that you have product market fit and just make sure that you have that dialed in. So if you have that, then you're ready to scale your business. You've defined hopefully some processes that work for how you treat your customers, how you onboard new customers, maybe the marketing channels that are really working for you.
A lot of it becomes about some of the soft skills and the criticality of the team you're building and the culture you're setting. So don't be shy about how you're focusing on how you're growing and building that team. And in a Goldilocks approach, do we have the right amount of process for ourselves in that moment? Not too much, but not too little. It's team and it's culture and a lot of the initial takes of processes.
Don't hire employees if you don't have to, right? Hire contractors for their expertise to only do the thing that you need. If someone doesn't work out, stop beating the dead horse, just fire them. Those are the two things I would focus on, is like profit-driven decisions and be super cautious with how you spend your money.
Define that one channel, that core ICP, and not like deviating too much from that, and just like being disciplined and continuing to double, triple down on those, I think will take you a long way.
I could be like, sell your company, right? It could be the best advice. Don't get into the habit of overhiring. I think you always hear that people are overhiring during those phases. They get very manic and just excited and happy, and we're going to hit 100 million in revenue, and they overhire. Analyze all your KPIs, your positions, and optimize.
That is the end of the summary of the summary. So if you liked this video, check out the full summary episode on all major podcast platforms, or just dive right into the episode of the person you liked. This podcast is sponsored by Veritas. We help you to set up, manage, and scale an affiliate program, which is a really cost-effective and scalable way to grow your MRR. If you like this content, give us a thumbs up, give us a like, subscribe. I'm not sure where the button is, but much appreciated. Cheers.